Okay, we're back. It's the second hour. Donovan Sadiq, the Inland Empire Informer, with my partner in crime, Sean Fortine. And, Sean, I always forget asking you, how is everything going in your mentorship? Not, I don't want you to go into that, but I mean, how's the mentorship going at your church and everything like that with your church?
It can be tough at times. Mm-hmm. I mean, but I think it's worthwhile. Mm-hmm. I don't really like talking about exactly like what I do because I don't like to brag. Yeah. But
are you making a difference? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, not always with the person I expect. Sometimes things turn up that work out. Things happen where something else works out good, and somehow one way or another, it all eventually works out for the best.
See, and that's excellent. And let me be one of the first to say that you're making a difference in the community here by being on the show. Because I don't know what it is. People just they want to participate, but they're just so scared of like being seen or being heard. And I get calls all the time. Oh, you got to come to city council, and we need you over there. And I'm not your attack dog. I could watch the shenanigans on TV or on the internet. And speaking of local politics, November 4th officially kicks off election season. So be ready for all of these candidates to come out of the woodworks. They will have a year to get elected next year. So if you're a candidate, I'm going to be watching, we're going to be watching, and we're going to dig up all of your shit and just get to the bottom dollar to see who you work for. But recently in the national news, and I want to talk about this because it really pisses me off, and Private Kelly, who was, he claims to be a Marine Corps general. He is now the chief of staff for President Trump. And he made a statement that the cause of the Civil War was because both sides refused to compromise. It's kind of funny that he works for a man that doesn't compromise either. So I'm going to tell you that is an insult to me as a black man and as a military member, because this guy should know better. A former general in the Marine Corps should know better. If you don't have nothing nice to say, and if you're a bigot, which is what this man is, then you should just keep your mouth closed and not confirm that you're a bigot. Now that we know, and I had my suspicions, but I gave you respect for the simple fact that we were brothers in arms. But I don't need to be a brother with a person who has these kind of views. Your revisionist history of what happened over 100 years ago, you can have your opinion about it. It doesn't mean you're right. Mm-hmm. The facts are the facts. So I want to read to you what an idiot and a bigot this man is. And before I do that, I want to say to General Kelly, chief of staff to the president, fuck you. I'm glad that your son is not here because a bigot begets a bigot. And if that's the kind of thinking as a father that you have taught your children, that kid doesn't deserve to be here. So fuck you. And I'm going to tell you why you're an idiot. Here's why. You say that it was a cause of no compromise. Okay. There's thousands, I wouldn't say thousands, but a couple of things that was compromised. Slavery could never be compromised. Now, me and Sean talked earlier. We understand the context of history. There's no way as a black man, I'm going to go back in history 140 years and expect to be treated the way that I'm being treated today. Mm-hmm. That would be ludicrous to even think that. Now, I didn't live in those times, and neither did you, Private Kelly. So I'm going to tell you what an idiot you are. You talk about there was no compromise. And I don't know why you want to upgrade people that were traitors to the United States of America. Because that's what they were. At the end of the day, you can say whatever you want to say. These people seceded from the Union, which labels them as traitors. They are not honorable men, in my opinion, and they never will be. Okay? Do I believe in removing monuments? No, I don't. Because you got to remember your history or you're doomed to repeat it. But here's what I want to say. As America began to expand, first with the lands gained from the Louisiana Purchase and later with the Mexican War. For those of you who know their history, we did have a war with Mexico. At the time, Confederate General Lee was a major, and President Grant, also served in that war. The question arose of whether states would be slave or free. An attempt was made to ensure that equal numbers of free and slave states were admitted to the Union. But over time, this proved difficult. One of the main compromises that was made when this country became this country was that black people were considered 3/5 of a person for representation in the Congress. There's a compromise right there.
Yeah, well, the southern states didn't want to give them any rights at all, but they wanted to use them
as a numbers count for representation.
Yeah, to get more congressional seats.
Exactly. So that was a compromise right there. Mm-hmm. That's one. The Missouri Compromise passed in 1820. This established a rule that prohibited slavery in states from the former Louisiana Purchase north of the latitude 36 degrees 30 minutes, with the exception of Missouri. Compromise. That's number two. During the Mexican War, the debate began about what would happen with the new territories the U.S. expected to gain upon victory. David Wilmot proposed the Wilmot Proviso in 1846, which would ban slavery in the new lands. This was shot down to much debate. These are all compromises I'm reading here. The Compromise of 1850 was created by Henry Clay and others to deal with the balance between slave and free states. It was designed to protect both northern and southern interests. When California was admitted as a free state, one of the provisions was the Fugitive Slave Act, a compromise. This held individuals responsible for harboring fugitive slaves, even if they were located in non-slave states. Thus, that formed your national police force. That's how the police people came into existence in all these different states and areas. Their main job was to go and retrieve slaves that were property of people who owned slaves. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 was another issue that further increased tensions. It created two new territories which would allow the states to use popular sovereignty to determine whether they would be free or slave. The real issue occurred in Kansas, where pro-slavery Missourians called border ruffians began to pour into the state in an attempt to force it towards slavery. That's another compromise. Problems came to a head with a violent clash at Lawrence, Kansas, causing it to become known as Bleeding Kansas. The fight even erupted on the floor of the Senate, with anti-slavery proponent Charles Sumner, remember that name, was beaten over the head by South Carolina Senator Preston Brooks. Now, the election of Abe Lincoln, a lot of compromise was made.
Oh, yeah. Brooks received a bunch of canes from pro-slavery supporters.
Yes, he did. That's a fact. So, but when Lincoln was elected, Lincoln's platform was the stopping the extension of slavery into the new territories, not stopping slavery. That wasn't good enough because the Southerners thought that Lincoln was a threat to their way of life. The Civil War, according to the Confederate leaders, was based on preserving their way of life. Their way of life was slavery. And Lincoln was a threat to that. As the war started to be concluded, Lincoln offered to pay Southern people for property loss, property being slaves. That wasn't good enough. He offered to take the slaves and ship them back to Africa. That wasn't good enough. There was a whole bunch of compromises made. So for this Private Kelly to say what he's saying in the modern context tells me, as a black man, he is nothing but a redneck racist himself, because there's no way in the world I am going to defend any kind of slavery in any of its form. One of the biggest problems we're having in the modern age is the human trafficking trade, which is a form of slavery. So I'm not for that, but it seems like Private Kelly might be. So fuck you, Private Kelly, Chief of Staff. Go suck on a dick and have a nice day. That's all I got to say about that. So,
I kind of disagree with you about his son. I think his son, as an independent person, should have had the ability to present his own views independent of his father.
Sure,
because kids do sometimes break ranks with what they're.
No. I'm not saying that, and we won't know that because his son was killed. I know he has other children, but his son that I'm talking about was killed, and we don't know what he would do, nor do I care, because if that is hurtful from what I'm saying to General Kelly and other people, and it's very mean-spirited, how the fuck do you think I feel when I hear this guy try to defend slavery? So that's where it's coming from. So I want you guys to be as offended by what I'm saying as offended as I was by what General Kelly said.
Yeah. And, as far as the economic issues of the 1850s and early 1860s, I mean, I suppose there would have been room for compromise there, but the slavery it was always like all this shows that no matter what they did, the institution of slavery was always destabilizing to the country.
Yeah, so and as times were changing, I mean, technology started coming in. They even got rid of the slaves after a while. They couldn't even pick cotton because they built the cotton gin, and so it was eventually going to fade out.
Yeah, but even if the South won, which it almost did on a couple occasions, but even if they won and kept slavery, it was still been a destabilizing force in the Confederacy. I mean, they would have still been nervous about a massive slave revolt, and they still would have had problems with the abolitionists pressuring the Union,
right, and the lobbying in the Congress,
to violate any treaty that they made.
Right, absolutely.
As far as the Southern way of life, it eventually did. It did eventually survive, though.
Right.
I'm not sure slavery was necessary for that, because really 75% of the free, at least 75% of the free men did not own any slaves. Right.
Again, and out of that Civil War came the very first terrorist organization in the world, which is the Ku Klux Klan, to keep the blacks from voting and pushing them back on the plantations. And then you forget about the Compromise of 1877. Those of us that don't know our history, what was the Compromise of 1877? That was when James G. Blaine and I believe that guy Harrison, they were tied, and Blaine actually won the electoral vote, and they challenged it or whatever, and so they gave it to Harrison or whoever the president was, but Blaine basically was shut out as long as they withdrew the troops out of the South, and then that put black people into over 100 years of Jim Crow laws and segregation. So there's been a lot of compromises that was done. And for this idiot who never lived in that time, nor did I, it's just appalling that you would just say that, well, yeah, you could compromise slavery. You can't compromise slavery. That's like saying, well, you could compromise rape. She said no, but I said yes. So there's the compromise. And I took it.
I just find it unusual that he brought up the Civil War at all.
Yeah. Well, like I said, when you're an idiot bigot, you don't think about what you say before you say it. I mean, that's just how it is. They just figure I'm emboldened now to say whatever I got to say. I'm not in the military. Well, he still technically is in the military. He's a four-star idiot. But again, if this is hurtful to people out there, stop thinking about how this person's rights trumps my rights. Because what he said to me and other like me was very hurtful. So fuck him, fuck his son. His son, I'm not saying his son deserves to die, but when you're an evil person, evil things happen to you. And now he's showing, because my God, you are in the White House that is supposed to represent everybody. Even if you are a racist, keep your mouth closed, period. Nobody wants to hear that, especially those of us that are people of color that are serving in the military, because you do not want problems in the military based on racial terms. They had that in the 70s and the 60s. That was a very, very upheavaling time within the military. Then we got idiots like this saying the things that he's saying, and it's very discouraging when we got to, as a country, we should at this time be coming together versus what's tearing us apart. These little stupid personal opinions. In my opinion, I shouldn't even be sitting next to you, Sean, because based on what I've experienced, most white men are serial killers. You know what I mean? So, we all got our idiosyncrasies, but I'm not going to say that outright or, let that be my fear. So that's my 2 cents on General Kelly. And I just think that the man is a total idiot. But in local news, when we're talking about idiots, let's talk about all idiots of all idiots. Mayor Yixtin Gutierrez, he was in the Press Enterprise in regards to him deleting and blocking people on his Facebook and Twitter accounts. And it was in the Press Enterprise where here's a man that claims to be a teacher and he's for youth. This idiot actually blocked a youth group that was interested in politics and what was going on in the city, and he blocked them. And then his answer when challenged was, "Oh, I didn't know that was happening." Why is it that he doesn't know anything when it's happening?
I don't know. I think he doesn't care.
okay, but these are your constituents. As again, here we are.
I mean, it's pretty idiotic for him not to care about
Right.
what's going on in the city. If he doesn't,
Well,
if it
well,
doesn't benefit him having a big photo op, it's
yeah,
like
Well, we actually know Victoria Baca is the one running the city through Highland Fairview with Michelle Dawson.
Well, then him and Cabrera get to just go off and do whatever they want.
Yeah, and I don't want to even think about what they do behind closed doors there.
But yeah, I know. I've known that on Facebook. I know the reply button for on my account to post anything on Gutierrez has been missing for a very long time.
Right. I mean, I can't get on his Twitter. I can't do anything. I mean, I've been blocked completely. And
yeah, but I was able to open up his. I was able to suggest edits to his page and suggested he switch his phone number to the one for Highland Fairview and stuff.
Exactly.
Like that.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense.
I don't know. He doesn't care. He's got it. He's in it. He's got the title. He's got the stipend. He's got. Isn't there something like a car and health insurance stuff?
Yeah. Right.
He's got all that.
Plus, he got his job back at the school district.
Yeah, and he's got the kickbacks from
Highland Fairview, right?
And other.
And he's got
developers.
and he's got something in his bun from his love buddy Kerberos. So life is good. You know, life is just
it's all
wonderful.
good. Yeah, it's good for him. Why should he care?
Well,
I mean, I know why he shouldn't care, but I'm just being rhetorical.
Yeah, rhetorical on that. But what I'm saying is, why are you running for these offices if you do not understand you're subject to the people, and you just keep bringing these problems and more problems? I don't like what people say about me. You know, I mean, being called a nigga and all this other stuff on a constant basis. I mean, you know. Hey, you know, say what you got to say, but you know, you're a public official. You're accountable. You're supposed to be the mayor for everybody.
Gutierrez said that about you?
No, but I'm sure he does behind. What's the Spanish word for negro? Negro. Yeah, negro. So he probably says that behind the doors, but he probably puts the ER on the end of it, and I'm sure Victoria Baca does as well. So, and also in local news here, the Adrian Mitchell Park was highly vandalized. And I was walking my dog as I usually do. And of course, once again, you can tell that it was a person of Hispanic background because of the way the style of the graffiti. Mm-hmm. And I called in the graffiti team. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because if you have graffiti in your neighborhood, I'm telling you, the graffiti team in Moreno Valley, if you report it, use the city app, they will be out there within 30 hours and it will be removed. But I am just appalled at how you can, maybe these kids don't know how to read, I don't know. But how you can desecrate a veteran who's fighting for your freedom to do that memorial.
I don't get why they do it in the first place. It's almost like dogs and cats pissing to. Yeah,
they're shitting in their own where they lay their heads, right?
To mark their territory. I mean, you're supposed to be a little bit more advanced in the. You're supposed to have like evolved a little since.
No. You know, like I said, for all we know, these kids come from another country and they're just running wild because obviously they have no supervision. And again, I also blame this on the city. These kids have nowhere to go.
Yeah, so. But I mean, seriously, maybe this is a bit of a rhetorical question, but why destroy the place you live?
Tell me about it. Tell me that. That's what I don't understand. I mean, go to another neighborhood outside of your district and destroy that. That's almost like,
I'm pretty sure it's not rich white people like vandalizing and pissing in the streets. And
you know, here's the funny thing. Yeah, when I was in Florida and I was stationed down there was a kid. He had vandalized, within the neighborhood. People saw he got caught and everything like that. And another adult went to where he lived because it was posted. You know, it's public record where he was living, and the person went over to his house. And graffitied his house. And, you know, of course, his parents were upset and stuff like that about that. And the kid was upset. Mm-hmm. And then it made the kid think like, well, look, how do you feel? Mm-hmm. Now somebody graffitied your property, your home where you live. How do you think that the community feels when we see graffiti? You know, if you want to graffiti, come to city council, ask this idiot mayor, hey, we need a graffiti wall. You can paint over there all day long. We will make you something, but don't shit in your own backyard and then expect everything to be okay. You know, it's just sad. You know, and then to do that to a veteran memorial park is a damn shame. You know, and it just goes to show you that Victoria Baca doesn't give a damn, nor does she nor has she ever cared. So it's just what it is. But so we've got that. November 4th actually kicks off the candidate for elections. So these guys are, you're going to see people come out of the woodworks. And for mayor, have you heard of anybody jumping up outside to challenge Mr. Gutierrez?
Not yet.
I just, it kind of wonders me now. Here's my thing. If Denise Fleming throws her hat in again to be mayor, I am saying this on air. I am going to be dedicating myself to show you what an unethical person Denise Fleming is. Once again.
I'd really hate to think that it would come down to those two.
Oh my God. If it did come down to those two, I'd have to say I you know what? I wouldn't even vote. I wouldn't even vote at that point. I don't think I would even vote, and I wouldn't advocate anybody else to vote. But if it comes down to that, it comes down to that.
Yeah, if it came to that, I wouldn't. I wouldn't make any I would vote, but I wouldn't make any recommendations to what anyone else does.
I'd just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch it. You'd have to do something. Just blind, just go in there and just with a coin, flip a coin, and just say good luck. Because you're basically voting for the same person. In regards to corruption within the Valley, the guy in Beaumont, he was given probation, I believe.
Yeah.
He was given probation, and I think they're still adjudicating the rest of those guys that are going through the corruption part of that. The guy in Paris, I think that was a long time ago. It's just a lot of stuff that's going on in the city of Moreno Valley. Also in the national level, real quick, the tax cut is coming. I know you haven't had a chance to really read it and review it, but from what everybody's saying and from what I saw, it is a straight tax cut for the rich. What are your thoughts? Screws over the middle class, which we don't have a middle. I don't know why they keep saying that. There is no middle class anymore. It's either a have or have not. But go ahead.
There are some people that will benefit as they approach as they get close to the next tax bracket. Mm-hmm. But I really wish they'd do away with the tax bracket system altogether and switch
flat tax,
or at least a formula to where it's like you don't suddenly get screwed if you make a dollar more.
Right.
If there was like some sort of just like a smooth line or curve, then at least you wouldn't be suddenly getting screwed for putting in more effort to the economy.
That's a good point. But according to it, it is a massive tax break for the wealthy. People talk about the millionaires and the billionaires, but realistically, most of the tax revenue from the country comes from people that make around $200,000 a year. Right. Yeah, we know that. But those people are becoming a smaller and smaller group.
One thing I do like, though, is that it gives religious groups a little bit more room to talk about issues that affect their religious practices. Mm-hmm. To where, like, if I suppose, like, a church wouldn't have a whole lot of business talking about tax policies, well, especially in Christianity, where Jesus never made a big issue of finances to begin with. But if when it comes to things like abortion, charity, charitable programs, anything like that it's important for the church to be able to talk about those things, because there's not really a whole lot of other places that are trying to offer any type of moral guidance on that. So I do like that.
I agree with that.
I'm not so sure about how it's going to affect the lower classes.
It's basically not. You get screwed over.
Yeah, but
you have to study a little bit more.
With the corporate taxes, I agree that they have to be reduced to be competitive with other countries.
Right, but we've been saying that for years. But look at our infrastructure here. When are we going to start fixing the infrastructure here? We cannot fix the infrastructure in the United States if the people who have the money are not paying their fair share.
But right now I'm talking about the corporate taxes, and because right now our corporate taxes are often prohibitively
35%.
high. A lot of countries are more like 25% or lower.
Right, but that's because they also have universal health care, which is also helping them not having to pay as much. And also we provide a lot of their defense So, I mean, you add all those things up. If we would do the same things here, maybe that would work. But right now, you can say what you want about corporate. We've been giving these guys tax break after tax break after tax break. It's time that they start investing in the United States, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think right now, first order of business is going to have to be to get the companies to want to move here and move back here and do more business here. And Trump flat out admitted in the debates back about a year ago that the corporations won the battle about offshore tax shelters a long time ago. So there's really nothing that can be done except for the government to negotiate with the corporations to
negotiate or beg.
Yeah, basically beg just or make a deal to bring in their offshore accounts at a significantly discounted tax rate.
Right. Okay.
But the thing is that could pump in as much as another $2 to $4 trillion into
right.
our
No, without a doubt. But it's not going to happen. But Trump is supposed to be this great deal maker and all this other stuff. Where's the dealing? Where's the wheeling and where's the dealing? He takes credit for the economy growing, it's still growing at the rate Obama was in there. He's only been in office for 11 months, and he's taking credit, or this will be his 12th month. I'm sorry. No. This will be his 10th month because he got inaugurated in January. He's taking credit for things that has nothing to do with him. I did this, I did that. No, that was because of the Obama administration and the administration before Obama. You know, it's like a trickle down thing. But we need to really start looking at this, our country and our crumbling infrastructure, and start addressing that. We can't keep kicking this down the can. We can't keep giving corporations these tax breaks because they're not bringing the jobs. Unfortunately, you could bring all the jobs back here, which are, it's just like these warehouses. It's technology. We're in a global economy. This is not an American economy anymore. We're in a global economy. So you could bring all the jobs back here, but that doesn't mean that job is going to pay a significant amount of money. It's going to probably be little or nothing. And people got to realize that this is not the America of our dad and our grandfathers and all of them like that. So we're dealing with a global economy. You're dealing with 1 billion Chinese, 3 million North Koreans, who knows how many Soviets, and so on. Indians, over almost 1 billion Indians.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only 320 million people. How can we compete like that? Because as an American, I want $25 an hour, but they can go to India and pay a guy $3 an hour. Mm-hmm. Well, what would you do? Hi, Mama.
There's really no easy answer to
it. Right. You know,
I mean, we really need some way to regulate the amount of automation. But once again, that doesn't provide incentives to move jobs back here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just have, we're in what I'm saying is if we do not address our infrastructure, it wouldn't even matter if you brought jobs here, because look what's happening here in Moreno Valley. We have all these warehouses, we have all these trucks that are tearing up our roads, and we have no ability to repair the roads. Mm-hmm. None.
Yeah, last I checked, the state had about $12 billion in road repairs that are pending.
Right,
when they can get around to them.
And I even doubt if we're even on that list. It's just a sad commentary. We've got to come together as Americans and ask some of those corporations to stop paying these CEOs $300 million and just say, hey, suck it up and let's get this stuff taken care of and give the peasants something so that you can keep your workers working and doing all those things. So what are you doing, Mama? That's my cat, Misty. She makes sure she's on the show every week, every episode. And, people don't realize Belle is not here because she was taken away a little bit earlier. So get on, Mama. But there's another thing. Oh, let's talk about President Trump real quick. It's not President Trump bashing. Paul Manafort was indicted. Yeah. As well as the guy, what's his name, Grassley or whatever his name is, the second guy, his assistant.
Yeah.
And that guy, the Italian guy, Grappopalo, whatever his name is. But the younger guy, he pled guilty. A lot of people say there's nothing there. Oh, it's smoking mirrors.
Well, from what I've seen about Manafort is that a lot of what he did happened before. He he was involved with the Trump administration,
Right.
and his dealings were all for personal financial gain, not to.
Now, let me remind you of this. Paul Manafort was the campaign chairman, and when the Republicans had their convention, the sanctions to lift against Russia was put on their platform.
But eventually, Trump fired him because of his Russia ties.
Are you sure he was fired, or was he asked to leave, or did he leave while the getting was good?
Well, either way, Trump got him out.
Right. So a lot of people out there, a lot of my friends, we get in arguments. Sean is conservative himself. And I know right from wrong. A lot of people told me that there's nothing there, blah, blah, blah. This lower campaign guy, which he is in a picture with Trump. Trump named him by name in an interview. I recently went to a wedding and met all kinds of people, right? I can't tell you the name of anybody I met. That's how insignificant they were to me. Yeah. Trump says that this guy was so insignificant, but he can name him in an interview as a great policy guy, whatever those. This guy pled guilty to whatever the charge was in relating to Russia. So what's your take?
A Russian businessman with ties to Putin approached him after he was hired by Trump, and the guy tried to talk to this Russian guy and wanted to make a name for himself in the campaign, and didn't exactly work out as planned. They never did get Trump to sit down with any of these Russian people.
No. I'm going to tell you this. One thing we know: they're not going to get Trump as a individual, other than obstruction of justice, which is what he did do. There's no doubt about that. He's probably going to try to pardon himself and get out of that. However, if he pardons himself, that's going to open up a big door that they're going to make an amendment to the Constitution to where he can't do that for any other president that follows him.
The way I understand it is that he cannot pardon himself.
Well, it depends on
It would depend on the vice president or the Speaker of the House or whoever.
There's a little loop there, but when you control the House and the thing, you're most likely going to pardon yourself. But somebody's going to change that because eventually a Democrat's going to do it, and when they become president, whatever. So you got to close that loophole.
Well, Nixon got off because of Gerald Ford.
Without a doubt.
So basically, Trump would, since they can't pin anything on Pence would be next up, and at worst, Trump would be out of office, and Pence would be.
Right, the president. But what I'm saying is all my friends that were saying, there's smoking mirrors. I mean, even Trump himself said there's nothing there. This guy pled guilty. That means there's something there. Manafort, you can say whatever he wants. There's some ties to Russia. All these people. And then recently today, another guy that had a Russia tie, his nominee for agriculture secretary, he stepped down for nomination because he had Russia ties. We still haven't got to Michael Flynn yet.
And there's still a couple. I believe there's still a couple more indictments pending.
Yeah, and pending.
So it's a little premature to get into exactly what happened. But
I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is to all my friends, and even if you're a Trump supporter, you cannot say as of right now. I'm not saying Trump is guilty of anything. What I'm saying is there's Russia connections. Remember I told you that like a couple months ago? Yeah, there's Russia connections. You're like, well, no, yeah. There's something going on with that Russia connection. It keeps coming up too often.
Yeah, but you know what the Manafort Russia connection is?
Money laundering.
Yeah, but do you know where the money came from?
Oligarchs.
It came
and the mafia.
It came from his work with the Podesta Group, which is
right. Yeah.
heavily tied to Hillary.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because here's the thing with the Podesta Group. Basically, what the government is saying, and this goes back to you and me saying that these are the same parties. What this thing is saying is, because you're right, the Podesta Group was also involved in what Manafort is being charged with.
Yeah, because...
wait, here's the thing, just real quick. Here's the thing. All they're saying is, we did it better than you did. You got caught. We didn't. For the same exact thing.
Now, what happened when Manafort was working with the Podesta Group is that he was helping the Podesta Group lobby on behalf of a pro-Putin Ukrainian party.
Right.
So then he he did some. I believe he did some offshore dealings, made some offshore accounts,
Sure.
Found ways to
Money laundering,
smuggle the money into the country without
Right.
paying taxes.
And he did
And
that
he
by
didn't-
buying lavish things and washing it through and
And he didn't register
as a
an
foreign agent. Yeah, foreign agent.
Yeah, but so basically everything he did is also tied to,
To the Podestas and the Clintons
and the Clintons and all that.
But again, this goes back. I don't. How many times you guys look at all the videos? How many of times have we said this is the same party? I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or not. All I'm asking you to do is be objective in what you're saying. Don't be blind to say this person is infallible. They are infallible. I'm not an Obama supporter. I'm not going to bash the man.
It's part of the reason why Trump won is because people didn't want all this crap anymore.
Right, exactly. But come to find out, he's part of the same crap because these are the people that he hired. He can't take that away from anybody else. Don't give me no excuses about you didn't vet this person, whatever. You hired him. He's there. He was the chairman. Don't give me that bull crap about, well, he had a limited role in the campaign. Nobody wants to hear that. I mean, come on. You hired him. He represented you. This man is now being indicted. And I think it's going to get more. We haven't even heard from Flynn yet. Like I said, I'm not saying Trump is guilty of anything, but the buck is supposed to stop with the president, period, at the end of the day. So all I'm saying is my Trump friends.
It'll be interesting. Trump is going to have to explain his connections with Manafort and a couple of these other guys.
And the money that was laundered through his properties in New York.
Trump?
Yeah. He had 13 oligarchs that rented these luxurious condos in that the Westin or whatever that hotel he had, the Trump Westin, whatever, it was one of his newer ones, and they never occupied them. Property in Florida was bought by an oligarch for an outrageous price, and he never occupied it. So there's something going on, like I said. But what I'm saying is,
if you want to tie Trump directly to Putin, that's a little hard because Trump's policies that he promised on the campaign trail and is trying to put them into process now, it does not.
They differ.
Does not work in Putin's favor. He wants to. If Trump wants to build a strong military and wants to have a strong energy industry to where we can provide significant exports. That does not help Russia at all.
Right. But why is that? And I'm going to tell you why he's doing that. Because he's being investigated, so he wants to throw you off the scent. I'm telling you, as a military man, you shoot this way to get people looking this way, and you go for the kill shot this way. It's just a way to throw you off the thing. Oh no, I'm going to show you. I love it when rich people, they talk all tough because they've got money and they've got influence, but when they're about to get down with the common person, they get scared.
Well, it's interesting that all these indictments come just as soon as the media finally notices the Hillary Uranium One story. Right.
And, but again, I'm not saying that that's not a true story, but she's not the president. And what I tell all my friends that are, Trump supporters, and that's great. God bless you, you're a Trump supporter, good for you.
But the thing is that there are still officials in the government that have ties to that, to that scandal.
Sure, absolutely. You have career federal employees. That's without a doubt. I mean, that's going to happen. But what I'm saying is, you got this braggart in office. All I'm asking my friends is, you said there was never a connection. There is a connection. Now you need to look yourself in the mirror and say that. Okay, we're not saying Trump is guilty. Let the justice thing, play itself out. But open your eyes and say, yes, there is a Russia connection. There are too many people he's bringing on board that have Russia connections. This guy, agriculture secretary, he was just a nominee, stepped down because he had Russia connections. What's going on here with this Russia thing? It's just too many coincidences to me. I mean, if that doesn't bother you guys, I don't know what to say. You got a 4-star general that was in charge of our intelligence that is in cahoots with the Russians. Flynn. I mean, there's something going on here. And if you're a real American and you're not alarmed or wondering, like I said, I'll give Trump the benefit of the doubt. I'll give it, hey, in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. I'll give you that. But if I was on the jury right now, there is too many coincidences of this Russia keeps coming up.
Well, with Flynn, right now, Flynn is entitled to the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
That what he said is, well, Flynn's story is that when he met the Russian ambassador, they just talked about personal issues and got to know each other.
Right, but here's the problem with Flynn. He didn't register as a foreign agent as he was working for Turkey. And as a 4-star general in the military, you are to report to the Department of Defense and the Department of State and let them know your travel plans, which he did not. And he received compensatory money from Russia, Turkey, and so on, and didn't report that. Something to think about. You're a 4-star general.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Well, he violated policy and.
Well, that's law. It's not policy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not a policy. That's a law. It's not a policy. So, as a general, because they're always on active duty, they don't really leave active duty. That is a law for them. It doesn't matter who's the president, what party. When you're a general, or these people in the State Department, that is a law. That's what you're supposed to do. He violated that knowingly. I'm just saying, these are just facts.
Yeah, but if you're going to prove Russian collusion, you can prove. There's still have to prove a difference between money laundering with the Russian banks,
sure.
Or as opposed to actually getting money from Russian officials for
sure.
political favors.
Sure. Like I said, I don't know all the facts, but I do know the basics. If I was looking at Trump, there's too many Russian connections here. Doesn't mean that he's guilty of anything, because he might not be. Because when you're the top dog, your subordinates are doing stuff that you might not be aware of. I mean, This is the federal government. He can't know what everybody's doing all the time. So I'll give him that benefit of the doubt. But to sit there and for him to even say there are no Russian connections, that's like saying it's raining outside, but no, you're pissing on my head. There's a difference in that. So there is Russian connections there in his administration for some reason. So to sit there and say, well, no, there's no connections to Russia. It just keeps coming up over and over.
Yeah, but right now everyone's saying it's Putin. But right now,
I don't think it's Putin. But
right now, all they can make a case for is that these officials use Russian banks for money laundering for personal purposes, as opposed to using them for any political favors.
Right, but then again, looking at a national security level, Russia is our adversarial enemy. So
they should have never been these officials. These subordinates under Trump should have never been
right.
Should have never had business with the Russians in the first place.
Right, and you're going to run for political office, and it's just too many things that are going on with that. So
yeah, I do think Trump needs to clean house.
And get some people in there that know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, he needs to get rid of all the Obama era holdovers. Mm-hmm. He needs to find people that haven't been secretly making private deals with Russian banks for money laundering and anything like that.
Well, remember, like I just told you, he's done it himself. So when it comes from the top, it resonates to the bottom. I mean, these are facts. I mean, these people. That's why I don't believe he's a billionaire, because he isn't. So, it's going to be interesting.
Well, until Trump tries to secretly move money from offshore accounts into the country, then it's hard to.
I don't think he's a billionaire. That's just me.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has offshore accounts, which is legal because the U.S. can't do anything about it.
Sure.
But until he tries to move money from offshore accounts into the U.S. without paying any taxes, then.
Well, we would never know that. We don't see his taxes. We can't see his taxes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he hasn't been guilty of any of the money laundering that some of these officials.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying any of that. But again, if he keeps obstructing, that's going to say anything. I mean, he's obstructing people seeing his taxes. There's a reason why he doesn't want to see his taxes.
Well, he's not. Presidents aren't required to.
Well, no, it's not required to, but that is public record. So we have a right to see it, and they won't let people see it. So it's just something to think about. But any upcoming news, real quick, as we head out?
There might be some stuff on the Second Amendment front in the near future.
Okay, good. Also, we got to watch that gun lobby thing, as California, I believe there's something coming down in California again about the gun thing with this new terrorist attack that happened. So they're still pushing to do regulation on guns. But
with that, I am a bit concerned that well, the thing that these people don't realize is that a lot of these killers are well above average intelligence, and they are capable of adapting. And my big concern is that if they make